I really hate it when people still describe me as a foreigner, even though I've been here for a really long time.
Because I wanted to do part jobs, and I searched for a job, and there was a job I could do that, but they told me that because you are a foreigner, we can't accept you. So I really hate the 외국인.
K and like cool for everything, like K, 고생 K, something like that. Make the words short. So for me, sometimes it's really hard to understand what they try to say. If you try to say 생일 party, you just say 생파 or stuff like that. Like profile picture instead of profile pose is like 부사. So for me, it was really difficult sometimes to understand what they mean without having, a bit of insight and without being Korean, basically.
Natasha, 말하면 this expression is it doesn't really solve the problem, and I think it just doesn't make that much sense. It's just like, oh, it was my fault, I'm really sorry, and okay, like, what are we gonna do about it?
빨리 빨리. So I feel sorry sometimes for taxi drivers when I'm with my friends and they say 빨리 빨리. I always tell my friends, no, don't say that, because it makes him stressed, and then it makes us stressed as well.
Ask me how long I've been here, and I say 5 years. And then they say, why don't you speak Korean? That's my biggest disappointment, because I know it's my fault, but learning Korean is also hard, so you have to put in a lot of work. And whenever people say that, it makes me a little sad.
Their drinking culture, it's too much because they drink a lot.
Soju is dangerous. So in my experience, you can drink a bottle of soju and not really feel drunk. Then you just take one more shot and you're just destroyed. I have drank soju and beer mixed up. In my short time in Korea, I've tried all sorts of soju combinations. Soju and energy drinks, soju and beer, soju, wine and beer.
Koreans are really, really shy. They're like so shy. So even if I go out on the street and I would try to find directions somewhere, and I would ask for directions on the street, people would be like, oh no, I don't know any English. Please go away. They obviously didn't say that, but just like they were so frightened and they were like, oh, please don't talk to me, don't.
Education system, because I see a lot of people studying really hard, learning English. A lot of people would try to memorize book after book, but they don't even understand what they're learning.
I think it's Namsan Tower, because in dramas they all have Namsan Tower. But when I went to Namsan Tower, I was like, it's shorter than our Mila Tower.
And I know the places where that drama was filmed. Like for example, when I was Hwaeogi, I was like, oh gosh, I've been there. It's gives you a different feeling.
I do like Hongdae because it has all these little shops and it's really interesting. But one thing I don't like is that now recently they've started to ask for a lot of money. So if you go somewhere, you would have to order not one portion, but 2 portions. And you're like, why? I just want to eat one. But they're like, no, if you don't buy 2, you can't sit there, because they have to ask for a higher price because there are a lot of people who want to go there.
Buskers performing there, or maybe those shopping streets. Well, yeah, I guess it's a really small than you expected it to be, because there is so much people there.
Sometimes you go somewhere and it's so many people. That's the most disappointing thing about traveling is there's a lot of people. Everywhere. Tourist places in Korea are always packed with people.
It's Gangnam. The reason why is I didn't have a picture of Gangnam in my head. I just imagined, everyone talked about Gangnam. There was a song about Gangnam. So I imagined this really cool place. But when I went there, it's just buildings and buildings and streets, and it's so busy.
I was roaming around in Insadong and I came to find that library. And when I came to find that library, I thought I know this place. I've seen it somewhere. So when I remembered it was in a movie scene, a little disappointment, but at the same time, I was at the place where a movie was shot. So it was quite nostalgic for me, a childhood memory in a movie. So I think so, yeah, it was okay. Not that bad, not that good, in the middle. editing makes the movie look quite good, but in reality, it's always different.
When I went to a restaurant, which was a local restaurant with like fish, a traditional restaurant, so I was really looking forward to have that kind of experience. Whenever we were asking the attendant, the person who was in charge of 사장님, to come and take our order or bring us something extra, I felt like she was never listening to us or pretending she doesn't hear. Usually when you give the food to the people, to the customers, you tell them have a nice meal and things like that. But there were cases when this didn't happen to us, and maybe it's because they believe we do not understand it.
Get into clubs for free when there are, for example, certain promotions or you're on the guest list or whatever. But if you're a foreigner, then sometimes that doesn't work, because even if you are on the guest list or you go there on the promotion day, it says like on the sign, like in like this really small like lettering, it says no foreigners.
There's nothing like this in Russia or anywhere I've been, like in Europe or maybe America. When you go to Tube, there are lots and lots of people, right? Like it's obvious, it's Tube, everybody uses it, it's public transport. But in Korea, like when you walk past them, they just shove you with the shoulders. It's like, it hurts and it's uncomfortable. Why wouldn't you like go like, oh yeah, sorry, like I didn't mean to do that. They just like shove you. Especially at Jumas, they're like really aggressive about it.
I've had people think that I don't speak Korean, so they would like talk in front of me and they would talk about me, like my face or my body, or be like, oh, she's pretty, or la 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 la, about what I'm wearing or whatever. And then I was like, so I took out my phone and I pretended to pick it up. I was like, 여보세요, 안 돼. They're like, oh my God.
I went into a kimbap shop, and the lady, she had put her purse, her wallet, on top of the display cabinet. She just left it there while she's waiting for her food. When I went in there and I was just about to order, she looked at me and then she quickly grabbed her wallet and she held it to her chest. And in most situations, I wouldn't think anything of it, but in that situation, I was quite certain she probably implied that I might try to take her wallet.
Sometimes I go to like a bar. They say they need to see my passport, but I live here and I have a visa, but they say, no, you can't get in without your passport, which is not true. And also me and my wife sometimes go to like Pocha, and there was some where you see many different tables are open. There's no people there, and they said, sorry, we're full. And it was definitely because I'm a foreigner. So sometimes foreigners are discriminated against here.